Hi everyone, I hope you're all doing really well and welcome back to my podcast, Life of an Artrepreneur. In this episode, I want to talk about inspiration, where to find it and how to deal with too many ideas, all of which I've really struggled with as a creative person and as an artist. I sometimes feel like my brain is either blank or I've just got too many ideas that I feel like completely overwhelmed. Inspiration, I like to think, kind of goes hand in hand with motivation. When you feel inspired, it's like mental stimulation to kind of do something creative. Inspiration can come from so many different things and it always seems to come at the most random times too. For me, it's whenever I'm traveling. So if I'm in a car, if I'm on a train or on a flight, I always get like an influx of ideas. I don't know what it is, but yeah, traveling for me is always like a good one to get inspiration, or just kind of going for a long walk by myself, kind of being in nature, just kind of quietening my mind really helps kind of bring ideas in. Like, it makes room for more ideas and inspiration. I think it's so good to talk to other people in your niche, like other artists or other business owners, because you can really bounce ideas off each other and they might make you think of something in a completely different way. Like viewing an idea from someone else's perspective might actually open you up to a whole bunch of other ideas that you might not have even thought of. As an artist, creativity is just instilled in us, I think. But I'm sure we all have those days where we're just so burnt out and our mind is just blank. We can't think of anything, we can't get on with anything. We're just procrastinating. And I think for me, it's always when I feel really overwhelmed with work, when I've got a lot of things going on at the same time. It's like an overload in my brain. It's like it's got no room for anything else. So to help get the creative juices flowing again, if I am feeling a bit blank, I like to kind of step away from everything and just try and have a bit of a breather. I like to spend some time with myself and just go for a really long walk, get out in nature. A change of scenery can really work wonders, because if you're just, in your studio all the time, you can go a bit mad. Having been to Greece for a week recently, I think that's really helped. It was just a really nice change of environment and just time to relax and completely reset for when I did come back to work. Another thing I like to do is reflect on what I've done so far and think about kind of where I want to take my business, because you might have all these ideas, but half of them you don't actually want to do them. They're just kind of coming into your head and just making unnecessary noise. I think it's important as well to kind of look outside of your niche. Don't just surround yourself with pet portrait and wildlife artists all specialising in coloured pencils, if that's what you're doing. Obviously, it depends what your business is. But I think follow a bunch of other artists who are completely different to you, because it's quite refreshing to see like a variety of artwork, and you can kind of get inspiration that way by just, seeing other people's work that isn't necessarily exactly the same as yours. When you've got too many ideas floating around in your head, it can feel quite overwhelming. And you never know which ones will work and which ones are worth pursuing. Offload your thoughts or ideas by writing them down, like have a pen and paper with you all the time, or even type them into the notes of your phone, because you'll always have your phone with you. Honestly, you should see the notes in my phone. If anyone reads them, they'll think I'm actually like a crazy woman. I'm one of them people that I just have to get it out of my head and just offload it somewhere. Otherwise, it's like buzzing around in my head and I can't concentrate on anything. So if you do start to write your ideas down, you'll probably find that these ideas start forming quite a lengthy list. And it's hard to filter through them sometimes. So this is what I try and do to kind of deal with having too many ideas. So the first one and the main one would be to write everything down, like I've just said. Try and select a few and kind of entertain them in your head. So really visualize that idea, whether it's, an idea for an exhibition or a new project or literally anything. Ideas can be anything. But really try and visualize it and see if you can imagine that idea happening. Focus on your main work in progress. So think, is this idea really important to me right now? And is it going to help with what I'm currently working on? So, prioritize your work and prioritize your ideas that way. You could even think about combining your ideas into one and almost kind of categorize your ideas, like decide which idea is for what part of your art business, like how is it going to benefit different parts of your business. The next point is to expand on the idea, add more details to it, give it more substance, and kind of play with it to see if you can bring it to life. And if you can't, then maybe work out why, because sometimes the process of elimination will generate even better ideas. You kind of, disregarding some as you're working your way through, really visualizing them all and thinking, will this work? Will it not? That really helps me to filter through my thoughts and, disregard ideas that I can't visualize further. If those creative juices are still flowing and you're just one of them people who has like 50,000 ideas at once, try and starve your brain almost. If you don't want to get any more ideas, just for a while, try and block out unnecessary noise and distractions and focus on the work in hand and realize that sometimes an idea is just an idea. It doesn't always have to be explored or overanalyzed. And I think it's important not to explore too many ideas or to start too many projects at once, because it's like a vicious cycle then, because eventually it'll lead to burnout and nothing is actually getting completed. You're kind of starting a million things, but nothing's getting done at the same time. So instead, try and prioritize your projects and make sure you're still interested in the idea, because you might have started something months ago, it's half finished, and you're now no longer interested in it at all. And sometimes that's fine. I've got loads and loads of unfinished drawings that I've just not finished, and just, simply because I've just not had the motivation or just not felt like finishing it. I've just kind of lost interest in it, in that subject I was drawing or whatever it is. And the ones that I have finished are the ones that I've remained interested in. I think a lot of the ideas we have the potential to be really good, but we don't always have the time to explore them, or we're scared of them failing or kind of not going to plan. But I think you actually learn more from trying something and it not working out as you'd hoped than not doing anything with the idea at all. Obviously it depends on the idea, because like I was saying before, some are better than others. You can kind of judge that straight away. But yeah, giving them a go and not being scared of it not working is always going to benefit you in some way. You'll always be able to learn something from that, hopefully. I film a lot of my drawings for tutorials for Patreon. So I'm talking my way through each step and demonstrating techniques all the way through the drawing, which is hours and hours and hours worth. So obviously that takes up a lot of my time, and I do love teaching, but I think it's also really important for me to kind of take some time for myself and work on my own original pieces just for me, or draw something that I just really want to draw, because you can become wrapped up in everything, I feel like. And I think it's important to create work for yourself as well. And if you are one day inspired by something, then, taking the time to explore that a little bit might give you more ideas for future. You just never know. I think it's just important to have that balance between exploring your ideas, taking time for yourself, and prioritizing the work that's important in scaling and growing your art business. So yeah, a bit of a shorter episode from me today, but hopefully I've managed to spark some inspiration in this episode. So thanks for listening to this podcast. If you've been watching on YouTube, then please remember to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel to see more art related content, vlogs and tutorials and podcast episodes. And if you've been listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, then please remember to leave a review, as it really helps to push the podcast, and it's always nice to see feedback and get ideas for future episodes. So yeah, thanks for watching and for listening, and I hope you all have a lovely rest of the week.